I believe Butte College is being underutilized by our community. I have over 30 years of experience in education, employment, and training programs, both public and private. Based on my knowledge and experience, I believe the college has the potential to make a huge difference in our unemployment problem, given the right guidance. More people employed and better jobs means lower crime rates, higher home values, and a better quality of life, and that's good for everyone. I'm ready and able to take on the challenges of the trustee position, and for more information, please go to jackiegitman.com. I would appreciate your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to proceed in alphabetical order. And oh, all right, yes. Just a reminder, the candidates are voted on by both Butte and Glenn counties, but they need to reside in Paradise. Trevor, would you get us started? Thank you.
Check. All righty. Okay, so please explain the role of the trustees in terms of their relationship with the administration, faculty, and students.
And we'll go in alphabetical order, so would you please begin?
The board is a governing board, and it looks at the quality of the programs, the performance of the college, the performance of the president in reaching the goals that are set by the board, and careful control of the financial status of the college. And as far as their relationship, I think probably Tom other than I, but the president has 5 vice presidents, and between them, they provide a lot of information to the board, and the board makes some significant decisions about all types of things: master plans, educational plans, fiscal plans, budgets, all done with that kind of work.
Thank you.
Can't really enlarge on that. Jackie has hit the nail on it. We rely on the vice presidents to provide the information to the president, and then the president provides us with their thoughts.
Okay. And now we'll have a question from the audience. What do you think of the new legislation which allows California community colleges to offer BS degrees in fields not currently served by CSU or UC? And we'll start with you, Mr. McLaughlin, this time.
I think it's a great addition to the college. We've been looking forward to doing that. It just has to be passed by the state.
Do you have any particular reason for thinking it's great?
Pardon me?
Any particular reason for thinking it's great?
It's a great addition to the college, and it's a great addition to the students to get a 4-year education at a less expensive price.
Thank you. Ms. Gitman.
I have mixed feelings about it, basically because there's a Chico State right down the road here that also offers nursing programs. I worry that if focus is placed on 4-year programs, then the 6-month, 1-year, 2-year, and degreed programs will get less attention. And I think those are the most important resource that Butte has for the community, are those long-term training programs that can provide training for actual jobs. And so I'm kind of ambivalent about it.
Thank you.
I add that we can't copy what the Chico State is offering.
Correct.
We have to stay away from those areas like nursing, and that will be additional to welding and respiratory therapy.
Yes. Thank you.
I like that better.
Okay. Trevor, do you have another question?
Over the past couple years, what do you regard the best decision made by the board? And what was the worst?
Ms. Gitman, we'll start with you this time. Yes.
Best decision and the worst decision. I'm not sure I can answer that question. I'd have to think about it a little bit. I think it's important. I think one of the things they have done with the recent grants on career pathways and recent emphasis more on student support and success in their classes, as opposed to just enrolling everybody and letting them do what they want. I think there's a little more support available, which I think is a good thing. I don't really have a worse decision.
I haven't seen any worse decision.
What would you say is the best decision?
Building the college back from a place where we had deer running around underneath the buildings, and now we have big buildings, and everybody needs to go down and look at the college and see the new buildings we've put in.
Thank you. Question from the floor. Do you see representing District 5 as holding any particularly different bent from any of the other districts in California? And we'll start with you, Mr. McLaughlin.
Didn't understand the question.
Do you see representing District 5 as being, requiring maybe some different approaches, different issues from any of the other districts in the state?
Many of the districts in the state are not doing the success that we are doing. We're leading the way in finances. We supply financial responsibility to many districts in California, and it comes through Butte College.
Okay. Ms. Gitman?
Well, I know District 5. I've been involved in so many things in Paradise Magnolia area that I think it's important that the district, the board member who represents District 5 really look at the needs of the community and bring the community together so that we have some agreement on what is needed up here. I think there are a lot of things that are needed up here, and we need to be aware of those, and I believe that I am. There are a lot of unemployed, underemployed people working part-time jobs, have no training, they have no idea how to even find a job. Those are the people that we can help. That won't take that long for them to get up and on their feet and into a job. And I think there is a youth population up here that needs help. There is a middle-aged population that needs to be trained and retrained. Lifelong learning is a reality. Everybody needs to keep on learning. And I think there are a lot of older workers here that need help they still want to work, and they need to help in updating their skills and finding employment.
Thank you. Trevor?
All right. What do you perceive to be the greatest unmet need of Butte College, and what can you as a member of the board do to address that need?
Well, start with Ms. Gitman.
Unmet need. I think there is an unmet need in the community, and I think Butte College can fill that unmet need. I don't know what the unmet needs are specifically in Butte College. They do a lot of work. They serve a lot of students. I think their enrollment is flat, so there needs to be some attention to perhaps marketing and recruiting students on a long-term basis. I think that's...
Okay. Mr. McLaughlin.
Next year, we're going to be analyzed by the state to make sure that we are complying with what needs are in this area. Accreditation is really important, and the thing about accreditation is that we need to have a board that represents all the areas. The state will look at that and make sure that that's what's going on, and that regular board without any changes is really important.
Thank you. Question from the audience. What is your educational background that prepares you for the position? No, I think we'll start with Mr. McLaughlin.
What is my education?
Education and preparation, teaching?
I've been on 3 different boards of education, Paradise Unified School District, a charter school town, and Butte College. My education as a pharmacist. I had a drugstore in Paradise for 20 years.
Thank you. Yes.
I have a bachelor's degree from Ohio Wesleyan University, a major in politics and government, a minor in secondary social studies education. I've been a classroom teacher. I've been a manager. I've been heavily involved in employment and training programs really for the last 30 years. As a case manager, as a manager, as an executive, the CEO of a nonprofit. I've been on a chair of the workforce investment boards. I have a lot of experience in employment and training and education programs in a variety of settings, both public and private.
Thank you. Are you ready for another question, Trevor?
All right, what are or would be the direct or indirect financial benefits to you personally as a member of the Board of Trustees, such as benefits and that kind of thing? And under what circumstances would you be willing to forego them for the greater good?
Ms. Gitman?
No.
Yes, it is.
All I know about is that I believe that board members have, get medical insurance or supplemental or health insurance. Other than that, I don't know of any other financial benefit.
Okay.
Medical is being reduced as we reduce to the teachers. Board members get reduced.
They're reducing your benefits?
Isn't like it used to be 20 years ago.
And the follow-up was, under what circumstances would you be willing to forego them for the greater good?
I guess I would if it was necessary to keep the school open. But I doubt that would occur. But, you know, I'm not in it for the money or for the benefits. I'm in it because I think I can help.
Mr. McLaughlin? Speak into the microphone.
Foregoing, I don't understand that kind of question.
Just generally, the question would be, is there, let's see, like a circumstance that would make you think, yeah, I don't need, you know, I can forego these benefits. I don't need these benefits for whatever reason. I think you guys pretty much answered it.
All right.
We can move on.
I think you answered that. Okay. Question from the floor. In May, our college district was named one of 55 higher education institutions under investigation by the Office of Civil Rights for possible violations of federal law over the handling of sexual violence and harassment complaints. And we recently had an incident with a student and football player under investigation for rape on another campus where he was suspended. So do you see a role by the board in addressing these policy issues? And we'll start with Mr. McLaughlin.
That item hasn't been brought before the board. 20 years I've been there, we haven't had anything like that brought to the board.
Do you see a role for the board? Do you see a role for the board in handling issues like this?
The board certainly would have to make a judgment if it comes to the board. I have all the faith in the vice presidents that handle those kind of issues. Until they bring it to the board, then I could make a judgment.
Okay. Ms. Gitman?
I don't have a lot of information about the issue. I know it's there. I would want to, as a new board member, I would want to look at the process that is used when these things happen and how they are investigated and how. But I respect the administration and would follow the process that has been laid out at this point until such time as.
Okay. Yes.
All right, an easy one. What Butte College program or service gives you the greatest sense of pride?
Is that me? I was looking at all the programs. They have so many great, I'm into the vocational programs, the programs that can help someone get skills for a job fairly quickly. And I know the welding program is very highly regarded. PG&E hires people right out of there. I know the auto tech programs. Those are the ones I know about that I've had tours of. Those are very highly regarded by employers in the area. I know there are a lot of others. I know the healthcare programs, the RN program is impacted, so those are obviously programs that do very well there and are very much needed.
Mr. McLaughlin?
I feel that all our programs that we offer are excellent. board reviews many of them on a regular basis and try to have a report from individual programs at least once a month. Keep our knowledge to each program, and I feel all of them are excellent.
Thank you. Can I remind you both that you need to
Speak.
cuddle up to your mic a little bit? Yeah, I know. It's always hard. Sometimes all you hear is B's and P's if you get too close. But anyway, we need to stay close. This is sort of a question which is going to be slightly different if you're an incumbent or a challenger, which we have one of each. For the incumbent, what have you accomplished during the time you've served that makes you a strong representative of our particular district? And for somebody coming on the board, what do you think you're bringing to the board that perhaps would make you a really strong representative of our district? So we'll start with the incumbent.
We've maintained an excellent financial position. Butte College leads Northern California in the financial areas. We've built a new college from the one that first started. Those are the things I'm the most proud of.
Thank you. Ms. Gitman?
Well, I would like to, around the Butte College, bring a leadership of the Paradise Ridge together to determine what we need in terms of the needs of our community, and then develop a plan and then go after it by either asking the Butte College to provide the services that we need or to find somebody else who would provide the services. I think what I would like to see is more people going to Butte College and getting training. And I also think that Butte College needs to bring a program up here for dropouts and for people who are unemployed who just need help getting a job. It's amazing how little people know about getting a job, and Butte College can take care of everything that we need up here in terms of helping our people become self-sufficient, productive adults. That's my goal. And I think that Butte College is the natural and obvious resource to make that happen.
Thank you.
My turn again? All righty.
Okay.
Was the bond issue that permitted Butte College to build the new buildings, but at the cost of a tax increase to all county residents, a good idea or a bad one, and why?
Yours, yes.
I don't think I want to make an opinion about something that happened several years ago. I think that Butte College has built up quite a set of, a lot of real estate, a lot of beautiful buildings, very highly regarded. And I think now what they're doing is returning to quality of education, completion rates, trying to make sure that they're providing services that people need, and instead of looking at just the bricks and mortar. So I think it was probably a good idea to do that, and I don't think they're planning on asking for any more anytime soon.
Thank you. Mr. McLaughlin?
We've used most of our bond issues up to the point we can't add on to it. We've scratched and got some additional buildings in Chico, but we can't do another bond issue for a while.
Okay. We're going to have 2 minutes for closing statements. Mr. McLaughlin, you're going to go first.
I have nothing to add other than it's very important that we get accreditation done next year. And one way is to maintain current board. The state looks at who's on the board and how long they have lasted. And that's the main concern I have.
Thank you. Ms. Gitman?
I'm excited about the prospect of helping Butte College serve more students of all ages with more and even better services. I believe in the potential of the college to achieve greater heights. I'm running for trustee because I believe my skills and experience, and most of all my passion, will be a meaningful addition to the board. With more than 30 years of experience in business, education, and nonprofit management, I have specialized in employment and training programs that help people find jobs. My experience varies from classroom teacher to case manager, executive manager, governance board chair, and now owner of 2 businesses. Butte College is a valuable resource that could help more of our students achieve their goals. If I am elected, I will work to promote Butte College and its potential benefits to the community. I believe my extensive experience and my knowledge of the community as a volunteer will make me an excellent trustee to represent the Paradise Ridge. I think it's important for boards to rotate and for new board members to come on and old board members to come off sometimes to keep the place fresh, to keep the organization fresh. I've always recommended that with any board that I've been with because I think it's important to maintain a vital board of trustees.
I thank you to both of you, and I think a round of applause is called for. We're going to take a very brief break, about 10 minutes, and then we will move on to the Paradise Unified School Board. Okay.
I had one,
Oh, wait.
I had one child like that. I'll just say
Are we
you
on?
type. All right.
No.
Wow, that is a really good opening sentence.
The only class I ever got typing.
Is it on? It doesn't sound like it's on.
And
Dana?
like tape a piece of paper over my.
Am I? Okay. All right. We're going to go for the school. We're going to do the school board. A reminder to all of you, since apparently I wasn't doing very well, that you want to cuddle up to your mic. Very nicely done. Yeah. Think of yourself as a blues singer or something. That'll help. Okay. So the order for the opening statements is going to be Michael Greer will be our first speaker because he drew number 1.
Kind of like the Giants.
You have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you. I'm Mike Greer. I've been on the school board for 10 years, been elected 3 times. I'm married, lived here in Paradise for over 30 years, had 5 kids graduate from the high school, currently have a granddaughter attending at Pine Ridge. Some of the things that I'm really looking forward to going forth with, because during this 10 years I've seen our district go through some very difficult times where we cut a budget from $34 million to $26 million, had to make some life-changing decisions for our teachers, for our staff. And now coming back, seeing the local control funding formula giving us some money so we can reestablish some of those things that we had to cut, reestablish some of the art programs, reestablish some of the academic programs, do some much needed facility repair, things that we couldn't do before. My vision, what I look at is what the things that are important is what is the vision that we need to have for the future? And that's the important thing. What are we going to do with the local control formula and the budget? I also have a great understanding of Common Core, which is a big issue right now. And that's probably my plus is because I do attend Common Core, because I am also a special education teacher for Sutter County. Thank you.
Thank you. The second speaker will be, Judith Peters.
All right, do I have the mic close enough? 27 years as a theater technician. I think I can get this right. Good evening, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for holding this forum. We really appreciate it. For the last 3 years, I have been the only school board member with children actually in district schools. My oldest child graduated from PHS in 2011, and my 2 younger children currently attend Paradise Intermediate School, 8th grade and 6th grade. I know this district. After 4 years on the board, I thought I knew a lot going in. I know 5 times as much now. But I know the district, and I know our parents, and most importantly, I know our students. Whether it's being in the classroom, whether it's my children's friends, whether it's on the soccer field, the Little League field, I coach as well. I'm always involved with the kids. We also do Girl Scouts. So I know the kids in this district, and I know what keeps them interested. I know what, thank you, especially at the high school level. One of the most important things is having arts classes, music classes, career development classes. These are the things that keep our kids coming back to school. You always remember that wonderful art class you had, or that wonderful photography class you had. Do you remember your 9th grade algebra class? Probably not. So we need to have these other things to make sure we have well-rounded, well-educated children who will be contributing members to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. White will be third. Yes. Yeah, because you're 5. You drew number 5.
I'm confused. I
It's
was
very
looking at the order.
exciting, very exciting.
My children have attended Paradise Unified School District schools their entire lives. My son Matt graduated a year ago. My daughter Sarah is a junior at Paradise High School. They have had a fabulous education. I have served on site councils. I did the math the other day. I've served on the school site councils for 18 years, which is longer than it should be possible, except that for a lot of the time I was on 2 site councils because I had got a lot of experience understanding how the schools themselves work. I've had some serious involvement there. Why am I running for the school board? 2 major concerns. First, the high school, like many in the state, does a great job of graduating students to go to college. But what about those students who are not going to college? The county ROP programs are being phased out. Fortunately, Butte County isn't just killing them immediately as they would be allowed to under the new state regulations. The county's phasing them out, but the school district needs to address those needs and provide technical education for basically for entry-level job training so our students, as they graduate, can get a job. Second, and of a greater concern, is the district's financial situation. The proposed 3-year budget is a deficit budget for all 3 years. I own a business that has remained solvent through the economic downturn. I have nearly 20 years experience with multi-million-dollar budgets, both in government and in private nonprofits. I have 16 years experience negotiating with labor unions. Deficit budgets are bad. Multi-year deficit budgets are unacceptable.
Thank you. Last but not least, Judith. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry, Mary.
Good evening. My name's Mary Rich, and I bring to the Paradise Unified School District 37 years of experience in education. I believe I'm an excellent candidate choice as I've been active in Paradise Schools as a parent, substitute, volunteer, chaperone, student teacher, and community member. I have the highest respect for the schools and the variety of educational opportunities afforded to students here on the Ridge. I'm a product of Paradise Schools also, as are my 3 children. I possess a Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Studies. My teaching credential is a California multiple subjects with CLAD, English Language Arts supplemental credential as well. I also have a Master of Arts in Education. My commitment to education is a value that my family instilled upon me. And education is a necessity for every individual to achieve their potential in life. Positive educational experience here in Paradise is the reason I became a teacher. I am familiar with and have received training in the Common Core curriculum. I understand the impact it will have on future learning for students as the critical thinking component emphasizes for college and career readiness and the ability to function competently in a global competitive society. Opportunity for excellent education is available to all students from a variety of educational settings here on the Ridge, and that is what I continue and pledge to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Trevor?
All right. I guess first off, what challenges do you expect coming in the years whenever you're on the board?
We'll start with Michael Greer.
There's 3 challenges right now that we're going to have to face in the future. One is the vision. What is our school going to be like in 5 years, in 6 years, in 10 years, and the technology to go along with it? Two is we're having our superintendent retiring. We're looking to have to replace that superintendent. I was on that superintendent committee that hired Roger Byland, that turned our district around. The other is making sure that Common Core, and what it really means, Common Core is a methodology, but as a school board, we need to make sure we have local control of the curriculum.
Thank you. Judith?
Check one, we got it. In the future, I think a lot of what we need to think about now with the fact that we actually are getting a little bit more money is not necessarily reinstating the programs that we took out, but reinventing our school district to provide our children with what they need. Again, career development and other options like that we need to, instead of just saying we took this program out and we're going to add it back in, we need to think of what new programs are available and what new methods are available to educate our children.
Thank you. Mary?
I believe some challenges will be numbers of students. I see numbers increasing over the years. It seems like everywhere I looked at Johnny Appleseed Days this weekend, there were new little faces of future students here in the Paradise Unified School District. I believe technology is a definite challenge and one that we need to stay abreast with and have our students be up to date and have the most current things at their fingertips so they can not only survive in the world personally, but be able to be employable. And I think we'll have a challenge of many new teachers and new faces. I know there's a lot of retirees. I keep hearing from a lot of people that I run into that some were even my children's teachers that, oh, I only have 1 or 2 more years. And so there'll be a lot of new faces, and I see signs that it's hard to get substitutes. So I'm hoping to promote Paradise Unified.
Thank you. Mr. White?
I also feel there are 3 challenges, big challenges the district faces. The first is the budget situation. Currently, the district's projections are a $1.7 million deficit next year, $600,000 the year after, $275,000 in the third year. Well over $2 million coming out of the reserves of the emergency fund for the district. Dovetailing into that is the imminent retirement of the superintendent. The board needs to be strong, do a strong superintendent search to find a superintendent that is fiscally responsible and that can guide the district. It is the board's role to set policy, let the superintendent guide the district with that policy. Third, and a huge thing for our students, is what's referred to as STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This is the growth area for jobs, for real jobs, legitimate jobs in this country and in our world today. We need to figure out a way for those students, not just the college-bound students, but all of our students to be able to come up with job opportunities in that field. One plus is there is a potential for increased enrollment. That would be the greatest thing our district could have.
Thank you. Question from the floor. If you were looking for a new superintendent, what sorts of things would you be looking for? And we'll start with Judith.
I also was part of the selection committee for Mr. Byland. And what we did at that time, and we'd like to repeat again, which was gathering all our stakeholders, gathering our teachers together, our classified employees, our parent groups, our senior advisory committee, and going through with them and defining exactly what we would like to see in our superintendent, what kind of qualities that we would like in the superintendent. It worked very well last time. We got ourselves an amazing superintendent who has done a wonderful job for this district. I'd like to see us repeat that process. Again, gathering all our stakeholders together, gathering input from everyone to see what kind of a superintendent we would like to go forward and improve upon what we've already have.
Thank you. Mary?
I agree with Judith that there should be a process so the superintendent would indeed fit the job and the description that we desire. I believe experience is important, definitely, for someone coming in as a superintendent, and someone who has had classroom experience, not solely administrative experience.
Thank you. Alan?
It's going to be a tough job. Our current superintendent is pretty much beloved in this community. We need a new superintendent who has exceptional financial skills, exceptional personnel skills, and who has exceptional community skills. Also, we're going to need to find a superintendent who has a thick skin, because that superintendent, whoever that may be, is going to be compared to our current superintendent. And no matter how great they are, somebody's going to find them wanting. But you know, all of those pieces, we're going to have to go a ways to find a superintendent that can fit those three. The financial piece, the personnel piece, and the community piece is going to.
Thank you.
As a current school board member, we have been looking at the process of how we're going to do that for the last year, since we knew that Mr. Byland was going to resign. In fact, those that would like to participate in that, at our next school board meeting, we are going to be discussing the process. We'd like to invite you out because we need everybody involved in it. The idea is, what does the community want? What do the parents want? What do the students want? And the first time I was elected to the school board, we were in the process of changing. Our superintendent retired. And one of the things is that we didn't go out. We didn't do a search. We didn't do a process. They just appointed. And so the very first time I was elected, I had a problem with that because there wasn't a process. So I was very vocal that we go ahead and go through a process for a new one. Judith was not on the board at that time. She was a member of the community, part of the parents that got together to establish that, to show what we needed to do for a superintendent. And one of the things that we have to do is follow that same type of process. Find someone that's going to be strong, someone that has the same vision as the school board. Because the school board is responsible for that vision, and our vision comes from the people that live here, not just the parents of the kids in school, but the grandparents, the community, the business, everybody. That's where it needs to come from. And with those things, as you talk to the board and go through the process, then we'll be able to find a superintendent that meets the requirements.
Thank you.
All right, I wanted to ask about Common Core. I don't have any kids, and so I don't know, but one thing that I always hear about Common Core is it makes easy math hard. That's basically the compliment, or the comment that I have about that. I'm just wondering, was Common Core even really necessary to adopt into the district, or was that just done so you could get the money?
Oh my, Mary, we're going to start with you.
Common Core is the latest trend and the latest curriculum chosen by the state of California. As far as making easy math hard, the change for students that have been learning a certain way and then having to switch over is, of course, perceived as difficult. It's also perceived as difficult for parents who are used to doing things one way, and all of a sudden their children are bringing home totally different the next year. There's a writing component now in math where the most important thing is to be able to explain the how you did it, not just the old-fashioned, if you will, way that we did math, where you need to show your work. You need to say how you got to that solution. The critical thinking component in Common Core is essential and will help students to realize that math or any subject, there's more than one way to deduct an answer.
Thank you, Alan.
I think Common Core, the math question on Common Core, I think Common Core math is how math works, not how you memorized it. Currently, I own a business. You come into my business, you buy propane from me, it's $18.14. You hand me a $20 bill. How it used to be is I'd take $20, I'd subtract $18.14, I'd give you back $1.86. Somebody can check, that's right. Now, with Common Core, instead, the employee takes $18.14, counts it back to you. A penny makes 15, a dime makes 25, 75 cents makes 19, a dollar makes 20. The Common Core math component is how math works. It's not as much memorization, it's more understanding how it truly works.
Thank you. Michael?
I have attended a lot of Common Core seminars as a teacher, as a board member. I was just on a committee this past week down in, where I teach down in Sutter County, that I am also a union president for CTA. But with that, I went ahead and we are putting up together a program on Common Core math, because that's where it seems to be the biggest problem, for the parents to come. We actually have a teacher in Live Oak that did that. So the parents to come and understand it a little bit more. Bring your kids with you, let them show you what it is. That's where the biggest misunderstanding is. And I actually mentioned tonight, we had a board meeting, Judith and I did before we came, and requested that our superintendent meet with the teachers to see if we can't do some type of program up here the same way, so that we can put out to the community, to the parents that are trying to help their students, so that they understand exactly what the process is. Because it is important to understand. It doesn't do any good to teach your kids something because you really feel left out as a parent or a grandparent or a care provider when you cannot help when they ask for it. And I think it's very important that as a district we go forth and to have those workshops put in by the teachers to go ahead and show the parents what it really is.
Thank you. Judith?
All right, how many versions of new math have we all been through? Okay, does anyone remember sets and subsets? Okay, as a student, I went through at least 2 different math changes in my career in the 60s and 70s as a student. I remember having to help my brother because my father took one look at the new math, and he was an engineer, and he looked at the new math and went, I don't know how to do this. So I was in charge of helping my brother with his math. One of the most important things about the Common Core is the collaboration aspect. In the classroom, the kids are getting together in groups and working together to solve the problems. My daughter's math class at the high school, she's in 8th grade, but she takes 9th grade math. They do 2 tests. They have a group test and they have their individual tests, so that they're working together. And that's one of the major things that our business community has said that they really need, is a skill for these kids to learn to be able to work in groups and collaborate. And that is one of the most amazing things I think about the Common Core, is teaching our kids to get together and work out their problems together. One of the other things also is with the new math books and the new curriculum, the online help is amazing. I can go online and find exactly the lesson the teacher taught and go through it myself to be able to help my child navigate their way through that day's lesson. Thanks.
Thank you. Question from the floor. What is your opinion of the current policy towards students with special needs? And we'll start with Alan.
It is what it is. The law requires that the district address and involve students with special needs. I think our district does an exemplary job of it. No one's going to be perfect. There's always going to be challenges with certain needs, certain students. But it's one of those, it is what it is. Our district is doing a great job. They have, at the different educational levels, they have different people available. They work with other providers, Youth for Change, the county, things along those groups, for counseling services, things along those lines. But it's not an optional program, and it shouldn't be an optional program. Those students need to be helped. They need to be taught. We do the best we can with every student, whatever their need is.
Thank you.
You know,
Michael? Yes.
as a special education teacher, I'm kind of the go-to individual on the school board for the last number of years, because that's what I do for a living. The district has really improved their record keeping, their efforts, and the ways that special education is taught. It's a big drain on the budget, and we've been through some of those which drained our budget on some claims. Those claims we have a process for in special education, because a drain on our budget for special education affects the general fund for all the other students. And so it's a fine line. I've also attended many classes on special education law. And so as we talk about different problems, for instance, we just bought a new special education building because we've been renting and it hasn't been the best location to rent. And so we're going to be moving into that. So we went in there to take a look at it. How can we do it? What's the best deal? We've been looking for approximately 6-7 years for a new special education building, and we finally found one that we can remodel. To be able to give our special education students some of the training that they need so that they can be as independent as possible in whatever living situation they are in. There are students with special needs. Some of them aren't even in special education. But the district has done an outstanding job really looking at seeing what the IEPs are, all the, with the SELPAs and so forth, what is needed, what do we need to do to make things as, best we can within the law and follow that law the way we need to.
Thank you. Judith?
A lot of it I agree with Mike. By the way, IEP stands for Individual Education Plan. And each student with the disabilities have these plans with their teachers and any other support staff that they have. Just so you also know, we are required by law to educate our special needs students until the age of 22. So it's not just high school. We continue on with education, again, just basic life skills, how to cook yourself an egg, and things like that. So we work really hard with these students. This new center that we're talking about, that Mike was talking about, is really going to go a long way to help this. Just so you know, I also have technically a special needs daughter. My daughter has cerebral palsy, but she does well, and she gets what she needs at the school for her specific needs. So,
Thank you. Mary?
My beginning in education was in special ed, and I'm glad that it's no longer an isolated school setting. Students need to be included in instruction that best suits their needs in the least restrictive environment. The mainstreaming of students allows for the education of all students that are involved, especially regular ed students, because they can see special ed students as unique rather than different, since they're all inclusive in the same classroom setting.
Thank you.
Going back to deficit spending, do you think that it was necessary to go into deficit spending for the next 3 years, or was that avoidable?
I think saying it's deficit spending, you need to take a look at the entire budget, and that's what this school board has done. You need to understand that the school board does not function as one individual. The school board that we have and that we've had over the last 10 years is a board that works together, discusses everything that needs to be done, and then we act together. Do we all agree? No, we don't. There are some that do not like the way we have, but if you take a look at the past, the money that we had in the deficit spending over the past 10 years, we've been able to keep the district afloat because of wise planning and what's been going on. Right now, that deficit spending is going down. And the reasons it's going down is because it's been a change the way that we get our money. Okay, a lot of that deficit spending came simply because of the fact that the state was holding back money. Okay, should you have deficit spending? No. Therefore, the last 5 years, there are very few schools that did not. Do we have a reserve? We're above the reserve that the state requires. We have not gone below the reserve in any year, and it's not forecasted to go below the reserve in any year in the next 3 years. But in the figures you heard, that it's going down substantially. In 3 years, we've gone, from a large amount here down to $250,000. It's going down because it has changed. We're getting the money when we're supposed to be getting it. And it's really important to do it. But one of the things with the reserve that we need to take a look at on our budget is that the tax that was put on that we had is going away. So we need to prepare. What are we going to do when that tax is gone?
Thank you. Judith?
yeah, we were in deficit spending for many years. The way the state funds education just mandates that everything's in a deficit. They don't pay you for this year until next year. And for many years, the state was only giving us 70% of what they were supposed to give us in the first place. I think the board before me and the last 4 years has done an excellent job, and the last 4 years I've been on the board, done an excellent job of keeping this district afloat. There are so many small school districts in this state that went under and are now state controlled because of deficit spending, and we are reducing our deficit. And we may have gone and spent a little bit more money this year, but I believe any expenditures we had were definitely necessary to continue the excellence of education that we have in this school district.
Thank you. Mary?
In a perfect world, of course, there would be no deficit spending. However, with payment received after the fact, the board makes decisions that are best for the majority of programs and individuals involved. And as a board member, I would continue to do so and certainly hope that I could look at the whole big picture and do the best with the other members of the board that I would be working with.
Thank you. Alan?
With payment received after the fact, just means that payment's received in the next year. So that should offset, although it's a deficit in, for example, this year, it should offset next year's deficit. The ongoing deficit is the challenge. 1 year of deficit with changes in financial situations, that happens. The ongoing deficit, currently the district's reserve is a little over 20% of their general fund budget. The projection is in 3 years, it's going to be just over 10%. That's not prudent fiscal planning. Could it have been avoided? That would be easy for me to take pot shots. Do I feel it should have been avoided, at least to the level it is? Yes. I wasn't the person making the decisions at that time.
Thank you. Question from the floor. Paradise Unified School District authorizes 6 charter schools. What is your position on charter schools? And we'll start with Judith.
I believe that parents deserve a choice. I think our job is to make our public schools the best possible schools they can be, but we can't make everybody happy. And parents do deserve to have a choice, whether they homeschool their kids or whether they send them to charter or they send them to private religious school. Those choices need to be there. On the other hand, as a school board member, I consider myself responsible for the education of all the children, whether they attend to public schools or not. The school board does have oversight of the charter schools where we have to approve their charters. They have to bring their charters to us, so we have to say, yes, this is good, you're doing a good job, and you may continue. I do take my job of educating all the children in this district, whether they're public school children or not, very seriously.
Thank you. Mary?
I agree with Judith. I believe choice is essential for all students and families. What works for one child may not work for another, and not every child fits in the public school classroom or the charter school classroom. The rationale and performance of all the charter schools, I have been very pleased with what I've read, and I hope that all the choices continue to be available here on the Ridge.
Thank you. Alan?
Wow, this is probably going to get me shot. We have some fabulous charter schools in Paradise. That being said, I think charter schools detract from the overall education of our students. I think they're essentially publicly funded private schools. If you put all of those students into the same public school setting, just personal opinion and having grown up in public schools, having watched my children grow up through the traditional public schools, I'm not a huge fan of charter schools. That's it.
Okay. Michael?
I have been on the board since most of the charter schools here in town have been approved. The Paradise Unified School District has one of the most stringent charter school process for approval, because we do keep a close eye on the financial situation of the charter schools. My personal opinion is real simple. They've heard it before, and it's going to continue to do it. Without the charter schools, public education in Paradise would not be as good as it is right now. You get better when there's competition. It's that simple. We have to compete for our students, for our ADA. We compete with the charter schools. That makes us better because we know that we have to do something with class size. We know we have to do something with the programs. We know that we have to have well-qualified teachers. We know we do this because we're in competition. It's no different in the school board, on the school district, than it is with a regular business. You have to, when you compete, you have to do things more efficiently. You have to be better. That's what our charter schools here in Paradise have done to, public education. It's given us the push that, quite frankly, our district needed. The other thing that's nice about the charter schools is we're actually working with the charter schools so that we can go ahead when they come out of their junior high, their 8th grade, and we have special programs when they go into high school that they can come and visit. We work with them. We work with the principals so that they can have the transition they need to come into it. We have students now coming back to Paradise High School that went down to Chico for charter schools, and they are now coming back because we have gotten better because of the charter schools.
Thank you. Trevor?
Speaking of ADA and attendance, what kind of plans do you have to boost attendance in ADA in your traditional schools?
Okay. And we'll be starting this with Mary.
As far as plans to boost ADA, I know the new kindergarten requires that students, well, not requires, but students can go to transitional kindergarten. And kindergarten now is a 2-year program because of that. As far as boosting ADA, like Mike Greer said, we just need to stay in competition and keep doing the excellent job we're doing to attract students to the Ridge and our great schools.
Thank you. Alan?
Boosting ADA as opposed to increasing enrollment. The way to boost ADA is to make help the children want to be in school. Whether it's at the elementary level, providing programs, art or some art interventions, the traveling art teachers or the music programs that we used to have in the district. At the intermediate school level, instead of having the young people participate in club sports, bringing those athletics back to the school where their grades would, if they don't have the grades, they don't get to participate. A lot of the students who, we certainly see it in the high school level, students who might be marginal students and have marginal grades because they want to participate in athletics, they want to participate in band, they want to participate in leadership, they want to do that extracurricular stuff that's fun, so they keep their grades up and they show up to school. We need to work on that throughout the district from the elementary level, where it's maybe a little simpler at the elementary level because the kids still at that age love their teachers. So there we want to work with their parents too. Some of those parents have some challenges getting the kids to school, whether it's transportation. The district has done some things about changing times. As an example, the kindergarten times are now a little bit easier. If you've got other children also, you're not juggling the youngest one is going here and the second graders at a different time. So we need to continue to work to get the kids, get the children in the seats.
Alan is actually, absolutely right. There's 2 ways to increase ADA. One is enrollment, and the other is getting them to school. We are doing the enrollment part by trying to keep up with the charter schools, by improving our programs, bringing back the music programs, have the fusion, the STEM programs, new engineering programs, doing things that bring them back. The kindergarten, so they don't leave to go to a charter school. So we're changing programs to keep them there. In our latest budget, when we went through the LC, the LCAP, the LCFF, we actually set aside a position to go ahead and send someone out to talk to the chronic absentee families to find out why you're not there, to get them back in so they will be there. So we actually funded one of those positions along with new counselors and so forth so that we can do that, so that we can go ahead and get that AD up, because it does pay for itself. If you get the students there, it pays for itself. It's real simple. And it enables us to increase programs, reduce class sizes, give the training that's needed to the teachers so that they can provide the education that the students of Paradise deserve. And those are the things that we're doing as a school board at the present time. And it's successful. It's going to work. But you have to go ahead and make that concentrated effort to do it, to cut down absenteeism and to improve your programs to get others to come to your school.
Thank you. Judith?
Actually, we are attracting new students. Ponderosa Elementary School this year only has 1 empty classroom. It's darn near bursting at the seams. But the real thing we need to do with ADA is attendance. It's not physical bodies, it's actually getting the kids to school every single day. That is where we need to boost our ADA. A lot of that's going to come from parent education. As Michael was talking through the local control accountability plan, we funded a new position. That this will be a person that will go out to the chronically absent or chronically late houses and talk to the parents and give them the information they need and possibly the resources they need to make sure that they can get their kids to school on time every day. I know personally it's one of my pet peeves when I show up at a school and I see a parent walking in with a child 45 minutes after school has started. That's not the way to do it. But a lot of these parents don't understand how important it is that these kids are there at the beginning of the day and that they're there all day and not being taken out for one thing or another. So parent education is key to improving our ADA.
Could I clarify one thing? ADA is average daily attendance.
Thank you. I was going to
Okay,
ask you.
average daily attendance, and
LCAP
just
is
because
what?
you're sick, if they're not physically in the room, you don't get paid for it. They have to be at school, not just enrolled, but at school in their seat.
Thank you. And would you give us LCAP? Spell that out for us, please.
Local control funding formula. That is the funding for the schools that the state established. That is based on a number of different things. It takes into account a base amount that we get in. It takes into account how many are on free and reduced lunches, how many are English language learners, foster children, and they give us special extra money to address those needs. And that's what the local control funding formula is.
Thank you.
And what we call the LCAP, which is the Local Control Accountability Plan, is
Yes.
specifically the extra money that we do get for free and reduced lunch, English language learners, and foster children.
Thank you. I don't know how anyone in education gets through all the alphabet soup.
It's called acronyms. We love them.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. A question from the audience. What plans or ideas do you have for increasing access of all students to online resources? And we'll start with, I think we start with you, Alan.
That's a challenge in our district because there are parts of our district that don't have online availability. So it's got to be done at the school level. I am not going to propose, as have been done in other districts, we provide every child with a MacBook or a tablet or something like that. So we need to make it available at the schools themselves. It's also available at the library. The schools have I know all the site councils that I have sat on at the elementary, the intermediate, and the high school, tremendous amount of the technology money has been used to bring the schools totally online electronically, bring more and more computer workstations in. We're challenged though in this district because we can't do it at all the residences and we don't have the money and to be honest, I don't think we have the will to provide the students with electronic devices. There are some families that may not want them in their homes. So the goal is to get it done at the schools. Fortunately, one of the pluses with the new funding programs is that is becoming more and more possible. I know at the high school, 2 more entire classrooms of computers were just provided, and a number of the other classrooms were 1 or 2 computers moved into those. I would hope that the board could work with the other schools to do the same thing, and they probably already have, in all honesty.
Thank you. Michael?
We already have online education. Right now, we have a home tech charter school that uses online. We actually have one, with the district also. As far as online education, I'm involved right now. I just this summer went out and visited with Senator Feinstein and Congressman LaMaffa about access to the internet in rural areas for rural schools because there's money available that's not making it to our way. We're working on right now we've opened up a couple rooms at Horse Breakbill School in Sterling City, so that we can go ahead and help them get the internet up there so that we can try to establish with the Sterling City Historical Society, establish an adult literary center, and also a room where if they can't come down, well, maybe they can walk over to the school and use the computers there to do the work that's needed during the winter time. My vision down the road, as I keep talking about this vision, is that we do have that technology in place for that very thing, that we can use the computers, we can use online. One of the things I think is really important, though, on online education is that you have a local teacher that can go ahead if somebody wants to come and visit you, a student has a problem, they can visit that teacher and understand, I don't understand this, how can I do it? So that local teacher can go ahead and show them how to do it, okay? Not somebody from Oklahoma, not somebody from back east, not someone from Southern California, but someone that's actually here in Paradise within our school district. And I think that's the key to online education, is that the students able to go ahead and make local contact with teachers here to help explain some of the problems they might have.
Thank you. Judith?
Hey, how come I have to keep coming after Mike so I can't say all the things that he just said? Mike and I were both very involved in going up to Sterling City and making sure that we're getting some rooms in the old Breakville School. We're hoping to get the broadband internet up there. Once that happens, it opens a whole new world. Paradise High School does have what we call the e-learning academy, and that is partially staffed by our high school teachers. Students can either go completely online for their education, or maybe a student needs to take an extra class. Maybe there's not just enough classes in a day and they want one more. They can take an extra class on the e-learning, through the e-learning academy, and take a couple classes at the school, so that there's a blended learning like that, so that they can get some of the socialization of being at school, but also get some of their education online if that's more to their liking. Most of the elementary schools now have netbooks and laptop carts. Those were brought out especially because of the new state testing is all online. So that was actually required that we get these devices in these kids' hands so that they can take the state tests online.
Thank you. Yes, I'm sorry, Mary.
I definitely agree with Alan that the technology needs to be available at the school. And as we are in the 21st century, technology is really where it's at. Our schools are well-equipped, and the money seems to be being spent very well to bring all the schools up to date. And I remember reading and hearing about Sterling City, and I know also that the public library is available free internet, and I think that our district is doing really well with the progress and for what's available out there so far.
Thank you. I think we'll go to our closing statements, and we'll go in the same order we did the opening statements, which makes Mary the last one to speak, but sorry about that. Okay, so Michael, closing statement.
You know, I've had the experience over the last 10 years that it's necessary to continue on the board. As I said, I'm a special education teacher. I'm a California Teacher Association Union President. I have the backing of the Teachers Association of Paradise. I also have the backing, even though it's a nonpartisan office, of the Butte County Republican Party. As I look at the two sides, it's because I stop, I think, I listen. I find out what people have, some of the concerns. I spend a lot of my time when people come up and talk to me about what's happening in schools. Johnny Appleseed Day, I had a lady come up to me about bullying at the intermediate school. Gave her the card so we can go ahead and talk about, find out about it. About the food programs. I listen to what the people talk to me about, and I get all those calls. We do receive a stipend. We have the option of taking a health insurance or a $240 a month stipend. I currently take my health insurance. I pay for it myself down in Sutter County. I do not take this health insurance. Over the past 10 years, I have received the $240 stipend. With that money, I have funded the bookshelves in the library at the intermediate school, carpets at kindergarten classes, band uniforms, fundraising, trips that people go to, drama club, different sports teams. That's what that money is for. I'm a board member because our students need education. And with my experiences, I feel that as a board member, we'll be able to go ahead and continue that so that our students become the best individuals they can, as independent as they can in whatever endeavor they have. And would ask for your support, and thank you again, League of Women Voters, for having this.
Thank you. Judith.
Let me just start by saying I'm not a politician. I'm not a teacher. I'm a parent, and I believe that my voice as a parent is an important voice to have on the school board. I have no desire to run for town council. I have no desire to run for the county board of supervisors, and I definitely don't want to be the vice president of the United States. I just want to be on the school board and help the children, and that's my main thing is what's best for the kids. I've been on the board for 4 years now. It seems like just yesterday. I feel like I'm just getting started and just getting into the role of things and actually being able to make a difference. I'd like to continue that. I tell people my goal is to be elected this time and one more time after that so I can see my youngest son and all his friends across the stage at the high school, all these kids that I've known since kindergarten. I understand the challenges ahead. I understand the way things work. I've learned a lot. I will always continue to be a voice for the parents and the students. And we were at a school board meeting once, and one of my fellow board members was talking about their constituents and having to answer to their constituents. I understand who my constituents are. They're all between the age of 4 and 18, and very few of them vote. But I'm here to represent them.
Thank you. Alan?
Getting
I know,
confused about
I know.
that.
Well, that's the number you drew.
For the entire time my children have been attending school in Paradise, I've been involved on their campuses. I currently am the Sports Boosters President at Paradise High School. I just left the Site Council as the chair of the Site Council. I be an incompatible office for me to remain while I was running for the school board, so I chose not. I also work fairly actively in a service club that raises a substantial amount of money for the school district. In fact, while Johnny Appleseed Days was going on, we were doing a fundraiser for the Paradise Unified School District music programs, which was fairly successful. In fact, we're ordering a new sousaphone, which for those of you who don't know, $1,000 tuba that you can use in a marching band. Students are, from the business perspective, students are my customer. Students come first. To make the students come first, to make that happen, we have to take care of everything else, the teachers, the facilities. But we have to do it in a fiscally responsible manner. We have to keep, to coin a phrase.
Thank you. Oh. Mary, thank you.
I want to thank everyone for attending this evening. This has been a great opportunity to hear questions from the audience and from Trevor, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. Education is an instrument of professionalism, teamwork, and commitment. Those that choose to educate are preparing students to be the promising future. I look forward to being an integral part of this endeavor. I'm a lifelong learner, and I look forward to serving our district because I believe it offers a variety of educational programs that serve a diverse population of students. And the students are moving forward, and my pledge is to support and continue the educational opportunities that are here on the Ridge and to hopefully create more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank all of you very much. Okay, another short break, and and then we'll come back and we'll do the town council.
Yeah, she asked me about that.
That's what I said, whatever.
Can we all get ourselves seated again? Last but not least, the Paradise Town Council. I'd like to, once you're all seated, feel like a teacher. I need to begin with reading a statement by Mike Zuccolillo. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He was unable to participate tonight, and I'd like to read a statement that he sent to the League. Government has broken faith with the American people at every level, from if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, to doing more with less. Now Measure C, Town Hall's taxing of the Ridge residents to keep staff salaries in line with larger cities, to the narrowing of the Skyway, the only fire exit off the hill. And still, our downtown languishes. I have a better idea. If you like your new tax, you can keep your old councilman. If not, you must also surely believe that this council has lost its political way, its understanding of who it works for, and its ability to govern without a change in leadership. My name is Mike Zuccolillo, businessman, community leader, Paradise Planning Commissioner, father, and the only candidate who opposes taxing the Paradise electorate for council's inability to manage town staff and represent the Ridge taxpayer, and I am asking for your vote in November. That from Mike Zuccolillo. Okay, so we're going to begin with a 2-minute opening statement, and Jody Jones will be first.
Hi. I was appointed to the Paradise Town Council last February, and I'm running to keep that seat because I have unique experience and skill that are of benefit to the town of Paradise. I've been a dedicated public servant my entire working career. I worked for Caltrans for 34 years, the last 13 as the District 3 director, responsible for the 22 counties north of Sacramento. I had 1,600 employees and a $1.4 billion construction program. Some of my big accomplishments included 4-laning Highway 70 from Marysville to Sacramento, building the Lincoln Bypass, and the 149 improvements here in Butte County. I know how to get big projects done, and I'd like to put that knowledge and experience to work for the town of Paradise. I retired in June so that I could devote full time to the work of the town. My priorities as a council person are to first increase public safety by fully staffing our police and fire forces. Right now, during weekdays, we sometimes only have 2 police officers on duty protecting our 26,000 residents. That concerns me. Second, keep the budget balanced. We currently have a budget that is balanced through severe cuts, and it is not sustainable into the future. It will take consistency and tough decisions to stay balanced. Third, attract money to Paradise for road improvements and other large projects. Fourth, boost our economy and support business, specifically with the sewer system in the business district. This is a large and complex project that I can help the town of Paradise accomplish. And I'm passionate about having ethical and transparent government. The work that we do for the people should be done in the open. Elect Jody Jones on November 4th. I know how to get things done. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Lauder.
Thank you. It's 2-1 Giants in the bottom of the 6th, for those that care. I'm seeking re-election to the Paradise Town Council because I believe my extensive business experience and proven leadership on the Town Council since 2002 is what is needed as the town faces its greatest challenge since incorporation in 1979. This challenge is to keep Paradise safe and financially sound after devastating losses of $3.8 million in local revenues from a combination of state raids on our money and declining property values due to the 2008 recession. Prior to the state raids and recession, I led the charge for the town to become proactive in helping build our local business economy with the establishment of redevelopment. For 5 years, until the state arbitrarily terminated redevelopment, the town's redevelopment and revitalization programs increased local business investment and expansion and jobs growth in our local economy. Built the Paradise Community Park, completed the downtown stretch of the Memorial Trailway, created new pedestrian sidewalks and streetscapes in downtown, and we helped Paradise Recreations and Park District fund the most recent improvements to Terry Ash Park, and we assisted PID with funding to construct various water line and fire flow improvements. In addition, I played a key role in securing Northern Recycling and Waste Services as our town's garbage and recycling franchisee. As a result, today Paradise has the highest waste diversion rate of any jurisdiction in Butte County. With green waste cans for every household, we've reduced outdoor burning and have cleaner and safer properties as a result. I was also responsible for pushing technological improvements to our police department that have put our police department way ahead of other law enforcement agencies in this county and nation, which allowed our thinly staffed police department to do more with less. These include tasers, cameras, laptops in every patrol car, and cameras worn by each officer, and modernization of our town's dispatch communication system.
Well done. Okay. All right. The first question will come from Trevor.
All right, obviously, Measure C is a big issue. You guys have both voiced support for it, and so I'm going to be a little adversarial if you don't mind. One of the things I hear about tax increases, things like this, is that oftentimes the first thing to go is public safety, fire, police, and people kind of feel like, not all people, but I've gotten comments that people are kind of feeling like it's a scare tactic and it's strong-arming the community, and I was just wondering if maybe that money could have come from somewhere else, or actually, that's basically it,
Who
All
goes
right.
first?
I'm sorry, Jody goes first. I'm getting my tongue tied here.
That might be the case in other communities. In Paradise, if you look at our budget, 78% of the general fund budget goes to police and fire right now. We've cut all equipment, everything that's not mandatory training out of that budget, so that budget is basically people. So it's funding our police officers and our firefighters, 78% of our budget. The rest of the budget, we have one fleet manager who handles all of our cars, all the police cars, all the fire engines, all the public works vehicles, one person. We have one IT person. We have one attorney. We've cut the budget so much that there really is nowhere else to cut. If we're going to have adequate police and fire in this community, we have to augment our budget. If Measure C does not pass, it's not going to be a good situation because 78% of the budget is already police and fire personnel. So we're not crying wolf. We're not using it as a scare tactic. It's real here in Paradise.
Thank you. Scott?
To dovetail on what Jody said, we have 5 frozen police officer positions in the police department. We have sergeants positions are frozen. We have 3 dispatch positions that are frozen. We've had to make those cuts because our revenue has decreased. It's not that we are spending wildly, giving raises. Our town employees are the lowest paid municipal employees in the county and in the area. We don't have a highly paid staff. We have staff that are doing 2 and 3 jobs when they were hired to do 1. We're very fortunate to have a dedicated team of employees, but there is no room, there's no more to cut. The problem is we have the structural deficit. We've been putting off things like buying police cars. Our police cars on average are 9 years old. That's an eternity on a vehicle that is run 24 hours a day. Our newest fire truck is 7 years old. And in the fire service, that's old. We have engines that are 30 years old. It gets difficult to buy parts for them. So with the Measure C money, we would like to fix some of those structural deficits. We haven't been able to put any money into things at Town Hall. We're fortunate that AKB group from the CMA Church has stepped forward to help us put a new roof on Fire Station 1. But we can't continue to rely on community groups to fix everything. And we have to chase grant money how we can and do the best we can, but Measure C is not going for increasing salaries. It's going to public safety, animal control, and to hopefully fix some roads up. So.
Thank you. Question from the audience. How do you stand, or what are your thoughts on the sewer issue in the downtown district? And we'll start with you, Scott.
Well, When I was chair of the Downtown Revitalization Committee prior to even coming on the council, the goal of that committee, which was a large committee, the number one thing was find a solution, a wastewater solution for the downtown. We knew that we would never have any economic prosperity in our commercial district. Now, we're not talking about for residential, although if we put a sewer system, a pipe in, whatever the solution might be. We've looked at cluster septic systems, we've looked at a pipe to Chico, we've looked at building our own plant. Whatever it might be, that's the key. The problem is the buildings downtown, and many of them are empty, and people say, why aren't there things in there? How come that's only used for storage? Well, the septic system has failed. We have three restaurants right now where their septic systems have failed, and they're trying to find a solution. And we'll be sad if those restaurants go away because they don't have a septic system. So what's happened with those buildings prior, when you build a house now, you have to have a replacement field for your leach lines. Those buildings were built, there was no replacement field. And if they did have a replacement field, they've already used it. So now we're down to where it fails, what do? Unless you knock down a building next door and put in a leach field there, there's not much of a solution, and that's the challenge. So that's why we need to chase, whether it's federal and state dollars, whatever grants. Jody found a project over in Placer County, I think, that where they did a similar thing. They were on septic. They needed to go to a sewer system. It was a $75 million project, and they got it funded. So we're working on trying to find a solution because that's a key for economic prosperity in our downtown.
Thank you. Jody?
I totally agree. It is the key. And it's the big thing that I want to do as a council person. The experience that I had at Caltrans building big public works projects can transfer to Paradise. And bringing the sewer to the business district in Paradise, in my opinion, is the only way that we are going to have a vital economy here on the Ridge. It's just not going to happen without it. It's a big project. It's complex. It's going to take time. It's going to take energy to go after money, to negotiate with neighboring jurisdictions, to jump through all the hoops. And it's what I really want to accomplish as a council person.
Thank you. Tyler?
All right. When the gateway plans come up for final approval, what factors will influence your decision to approve or deny? Specifically, they were wondering about, and I know it's not approved, but Walmart.
Oh, Jody, we'll start with you. Walmart.
Yes, it's not approved. Walmart stopped their environmental document because we don't have a sewer. I don't expect that it's actually going to move forward until we make some progress on getting a sewer. Whether it's Walmart or some other new business, they're all looking for the same thing. They're looking for that sewer. And if we don't attract new businesses like Big Five, which is a really good addition to this town, if we don't attract new businesses, we're going to die. So in terms of the Gateway project, I would want to see the final environmental document and how they were going to meet all the requirements that the town has, and what they were going to bring to our community. But I don't expect to see that until we make progress on the sewer system.
Thank you. Scott?
Well, I long supported the Gateway project, and it's important to remember that that piece of property is outside of the town limits. It would still need to be annexed into the town. But the key is a solution to the wastewater problem there. And we try to keep in touch with Walmart and ask them what's going on, but they've kind of changed their strategy in terms of building. They're not building very many large stores right now. They've kind of retrenched and they're working on their neighborhood market concept. But I would expect that when the environmental document that we had previously that was challenged in court, everything in it was virtually everything in it was approved. The only thing the court found a problem with was the early wastewater plan, and after it went to court, they'd already come up with a solution to that, but they used it as an opportunity to stop their project. I think we lost the momentum.
Thank you. These questions keep coming about what will happen if Measure C fails. So I don't know. Yeah, you're first. Yes.
If Measure C fails, we'll have a hole in the budget of about $450,000, I believe, of additional cuts that we'll have to make. And as Scott said, we've cut pretty much everywhere we can. The admin side of town government is very sparse. There's really nowhere else to cut. If you have one fleet manager, you can't really cut him out. We have no money going to facilities. We have no money going to vehicles. We have no money going to equipment. Our firefighters are using breathing apparatus that no longer meets the requirements. So cutting an additional $450,000 out of our budget is going to be personnel, and it's going to end up being police and fire, and we don't have enough already. In 2008, we had 26 sworn officers. Today we have 18. In 2008, we had 24 firefighters. Today we have 16. I sure don't want to cut more out of that.
Thank you. Scott?
It will be a great challenge for the town. It'll be truly scary, and the citizens will have to make some tough decisions on what it is that they want to keep and what they want to see go by the wayside. It's I don't think we want to get to what Chico has had to go to, where if you come into the counter, you can file a report at the counter on a theft, rather than having somebody come out and look at your home or your vehicle and investigate and maybe get some leads and be able to chase things down. It's already difficult enough at the police department where we have one investigator. Used to be we had a sergeant in investigations, and at one time we've even had 2 additional detectives. Now it's one officer that handles it. So it's going to be daunting. There's very little to cut. We have not been, the town employees have given back for the last 7 years. But just this year is the first time they're back to kind of square one to where they were 5 years ago. So it will be very challenging, and it's almost impossible to make it work if you have a $450,000 deficit, because the money's not coming in. We don't have a spending problem, we have a revenue problem, and the revenue is not coming in when things fall down. And that's why we hope with Measure C, at the end of the 6-year sunset, that the economy, that's where they project the economy will have started to recover. Our property values will have gone up.
Thank you. Trevor?
Okay, let's see here. How do you view the Town Planning Commission, its role, its place, and its effectiveness?
Scott, we'll start with you.
Well, the role of the Planning Commission is to act on matters of zoning in the town. At one time, we looking under every rock for ways of cutting and streamlining, with the theory that less government is better. We looked at, perhaps we talked amongst the council about off-balling the Planning Commission for a while, because one, there weren't many projects coming to them because the economy has been slow. So why write staff reports and do things. A lot of communities have done that. But there was people in the community who felt that it was important to have another layer of the bureaucracy where they could appeal to if they didn't like the decision the Planning Commission made. They could go to the council. This would have just gone straight to the council, eliminated a step, and we felt it might be a way. The communities that have had successes with it have found that it streamlines the process. Somebody comes in that wants to do a project, and if it would normally go to the Planning Commission, it goes right to the council. Council acts on it, and it moves forward. It eliminates a step and speeds things up, and we're trying to make the process faster, easier, better. We decided not to do that at that point, but when we're busy, the Planning Commission plays a critical role in general plan and in zoning and land use issues. Their job.
Thank you. Yeah, Jody.
I think that the Planning Commission provides an additional opportunity for people in the community to get involved in their town governance, either serving on the Planning Commission or participating in the dialogue there. I do think it's an important part of town government. As Scott said, we haven't had a lot of zoning or development happening in Paradise. The last 3 Planning Commission meetings have been canceled. So they're not really active right now, but I think if we could turn our economy around, that they would be a very useful part of governing Paradise.
Thank you. Trevor? Or is it my turn? I think it's
Your
my
turn.
Yeah, I think it is my turn. There are several questions having to do with pensions, and it seems to be what will happen if Measure C fails, or if it passes, will some of the money go to pay pensions, and if it fails, what will happen? So, so it's sort of a question of where the pensions fall in this discussion about the budget. And we'll start with you, Jody.
Well, the current budget includes money to pay our pension obligations, which we're required by law to do, and which our employees are entitled to. If Measure C passes, none of that money would go toward pensions. The money to pay the pensions is already in the budget, and the council has committed that money is going to police, fire, roads, and animal control. And we've put in the ordinance a citizen oversight committee to make sure that we do what we say we were going to do. If Measure C doesn't pass, I don't believe that it's legal for us to not pay our pensions. We still have to make those payments. Our employees are still entitled to those payments. So other things other than that in the budget would have to be cut.
Yes, there's really nothing we can do about the past pensions and retired employees. We're obligated under the law. Even cities that have filed bankruptcy, Vallejo, Stockton, San Bernardino, are still being challenged on whether their pension obligations are due. So it's something that we can't do anything about, but Measure C money is not planned to be used for paying pension. It's to add additional police officers, animal control, things such as police officers, animal control, buying a new fire truck. You know, a fire truck costs about $450,000. It's something that we have to order it. It takes a year to get a fire truck once you order it. Police cars, they no longer make the Crown Victoria, which we've been using. We've been rehabbing those. Police departments are going to using the Ford Explorer, the little one like the Highway Patrol uses, but we have to re-outfit all of our units, light bars, radios, systems, everything, the cage. So, but the money's not going to be used from Measure C for pensions. The obligation is there. We did institute a 2-tier pension program about 5 years ago now. So we took steps long before anybody else saw the problem coming. We saw it coming and took steps to help us out, and that's what's helped reduce our unfunded obligation from about 42 million down 12 to 14 million now for our pension obligations.
Thank you. Now it is your turn, Trevor.
All right. Is there a backup plan to bring funds into the town if C does not pass? Is there any other idea you have to bring money into the town?
Okay. Jody?
Paradise gets most of its money from property taxes. 71%, I believe, of our revenue is related to property values. 19% of our revenue is sales tax. Chico, 43% of their revenue is sales tax. Oroville, it's almost 30%. Most towns, it's much more than what Paradise has. It's not a quick solution, Trevor, but in my opinion, the other way to grow the revenue for the town of Paradise is to grow our economy and our sales tax base. 19% is so low. For the population that we have, we should have more services and businesses up here so that we can stay in town and spend our money instead of driving to Chico, buying things there, and paying for their police and their fire and their roads. So that's a longer-term solution, but that's why the sewer system is so important and why improving the economy of Paradise is so important.
Thank you, Scott.
I don't think there's any solution that we haven't looked at. But for example, to help animal control out, we've been working to increase dog licensing. We've taken steps now to where I licensed my dogs at my vet, at Companion's Vet Hospital. So previously you had to go down to the shelter, you had to come to town hall. We're hoping to increase from the about 1,000 dogs that are licensed in Paradise to pick up a lot of the unlicensed ones when people their vet to get the rabies shot done. We want to make it easier. A lot of people don't even know. It's not that they're shirking their responsibility. They don't know that we have a dog license, and they'll willingly pay that. So if we can move in the right direction there, local vets in town have said there's about 4,000 dogs in town. So we've got about 3,000 that aren't licensed. Some of that, according to experts in the field that I've talked to, you'll never get all of them. You'll be lucky to get half of them. But if we can double the amount of money that we are taking in on dog licensing, we can improve shelter services and animal controls. So we're trying to do everything that we can and trying to streamline things to make it easy and reducing labor costs. But I don't think there's anything that we haven't looked at. We continue to chase grants. We've done very well in the public works area. I don't think there's any easy solution. No backup plan. The backup plan is talk to the citizens and let them decide.
Okay. I see a pattern here. Measure C, measure C. Another question. How extensive is your operational accounting background relative to cash flows, reserve investments, balance sheets? So how much experience like that do you bring to the business of being on the town council? And we'll start with you, Scott.
Well, I'm president and CEO of my own business. It's a multi-million-dollar business. So I'm very familiar with cash flow and having to make payroll every 2 weeks and pay the PG&E bill. So my business is not only in Paradise. I have business out of town. I've operated other other businesses. I serve on the board of directors of several nonprofits, and we also keep an eye on the balance sheet. So, and after over 12 years on the council, I have a pretty good grasp of how the town budget works and our revenue sources and the various funds and where we can spend it. So I'm confident in that.
Thank you. Jody?
And I have experience with a very large budget at Caltrans. My operating budget was 200 million, and as I said, my capital budget was 1.4 billion. While I was district director, we had a statewide reputation of delivering projects on time and on budget. So the state budget is very complex. I'm learning the town budget. I've been on the council about 6 months now. And I'm also on the board of directors of a private nonprofit, and that's one thing that the board does is keep a very close eye on the financial statements, so I do have some experience with that as well.
Thank you.
Where am I at here? Oh, what's your position what's your position on banning outdoor burning, considering how easy it is to recycle vegetative waste?
Jody, we'll start with you. Outdoor burning?
I don't really have a position on banning outdoor burning. I think that's a function of the air quality district, and it's not something that the town council would ever take up.
I know that we've reduced by having the green waste cans, we've reduced the number of permits that we issue for outdoor burning is down about 75%. And the people that are still using them, used to be, there was days when you'd drive through town or you go for a walk and you'd gag him. I don't remember many of those days where outdoor burning was fouling our air. And so, but in terms of banning, that's the function of the Air Quality Management District. We've been very fortunate that the air quality up here in Paradise is much better than it is down in the valley, so we haven't faced those mandates. Other solutions before you would ever. I think as long as we keep encouraging people to use their green waste, we have the free days down at our green waste yard to let people bring things down, dump them there. We will continue to see improvement in our air quality. Our air quality in Paradise has improved greatly. So,
Thank you. Sort of a pie in the sky. Mostly it's what else can you cut if Measure C fails? Maybe the other side of this is if you were given $1 million today to invest in the town of Paradise, what priorities would you lean toward? And we'll start with you, Scott.
well, I would bring back the training is one of the things we've had to cut in the police department, and actually all across the town. We're no longer sending people for any kind of continuing education training, whether that be the town clerk or our finance director, treasurer, to keep up on the latest standards. We can't afford it. We can't send people out. We do a lot of online training, but I'd like to bring bring the training back. We'd like to order a fire truck, 2 maybe. We could certainly use them. Last year, our fire trucks were in such bad shape we couldn't send any out of county on fires or very few of them, because they were breaking down. And that's an important revenue stream for us. When we send a fire truck out and a crew out, we get reimbursed by the state, and that money goes into our replacement fund. We haven't been able to do that because we have old broken down fire trucks, so it's very difficult. I'd hire more police officers. I'd hire at least another community service officer to do transports down to the jail. That's been a great program that we brought to the community. We have 2 CSOs that transport people so we don't have to send an officer out of town with prisoners. And now they try to, when calling a CSO, often they'll try to make a second arrest someplace, rather than kicking somebody loose and say, hey, we've got a car going to the jail, we might as well take them to the jail, because we're releasing a lot of people, cite and release, because we can't afford to take them down to jail.
Jody?
I agree with the priorities that Scott enumerated, hiring police officers, new vehicles for police and fire. I'd also get new breathing apparatus for our firefighters. It's very old, and it's coming to the end of its useful life. And in addition to that, we no longer have a maintenance program for our streets and roads here in Paradise. We've been really lucky to get a number of grants, federal grants, and we're using the money that we have to match those federal grants, and we have nothing left to actually do maintenance on even our main streets. So I would institute a street maintenance program as well.
Thank you. 2-minute closing statements, and Jody, we'll start with you.
Thank you. In addition to the things that we've talked about tonight, I wanted to share a little bit about my philosophy about government and why I want to be on the town council. I believe that government should provide basic services to keep society running, and that we should provide them well. We do that best at the local level. That's where we can make the difference. And that's why I want to be part of the town council. I'm really not interested in higher office or going to Sacramento, where I don't really think they get anything done. I'm really about accomplishing things. Those basic services that I believe government should provide are safety, police and fire, roads and other necessary infrastructure, animal control, and other health-related things such as our on-site septic. And that's pretty much what the town of Paradise does. I believe that government should be responsive and supportive, but not intrusive into your lives. My priorities are for our budget to stay balanced, whether or not Measure C passes. I believe providing adequate police and fire service has to be a priority, and that we must find a way to provide a sewer system for our business district in order to boost our economy. During my leadership at Caltrans, we had a statewide reputation for delivering hundreds of projects on time and on budget, and I can help Paradise do the same thing. Thank you very much to the League for hosting this forum, and I hope on November 4th that you'll vote Jody Jones.
Thank you. Scott.
Thank you. Nothing I've accomplished as an elected member of the council comes close to the very difficult decisions that I've had to make since 2008 recession hit, to keep our town financially solvent and to maintain our essential services despite the devastating losses to our town revenues. These difficult and tough decisions have included having to lay off over a third of our already limited workforce, securing through negotiations major wage and benefit concessions from all of our employees, including management, making across-the-board spending cuts in all departments, and contracting fire services to CAL FIRE, not only to save costs, but to provide greater depth of support to the town. However, the town is not out of the woods. In fact, stakes couldn't be higher. We have a real ongoing threat to our town's financial stability and our ability to provide adequate police and fire protection to our community. If Measure C, which I support, isn't approved by the voters in November, this is why proven, experienced leadership on our town council is needed now more than ever before, and why I'm asking for your support in November.
Thank you. Thank you both very much. Thank you all for coming, and I know you're all going to go vote.
Giants game is tied 2-2 in the 7th.